I will shortly leave the job that it has been the honour of my life to hold. The second female Prime Minister, but certainly not the last. I do so with no ill will, but with enormous and enduring gratitude to have had the opportunity to serve the country I love.
An emotional Theresa May bowed and broken by Brexit. She will resign as Britain's Prime Minister June 7th, closing the door on her tumultuous time at number 10 Downing Street. Her departure after 3 years in power, the result of her failed attempts at delivering on a divorce deal with Europe. Before retreating to her home riding, she promised to stay on as caretaker Prime Minister until a new leader is chosen, likely by late July. May had been under pressure to quit for months, so now that she's agreed to go, what's the upshot of her exit? Margaret Evans has that story from London.
The wheel of power can be fickle, and today it finally turned on Theresa May's premiership. Often derided for a lack of emotion, it slipped through at the very end, garnering May some sympathy on the streets.
I don't know that anybody else in her shoes would have done anything differently, and I just think she's got the rough end of the stick.
No one's perfect. I know she's got a big job to do, and all of our livelihoods are riding on it, but she's still a person.
Others were far less forgiving.
I put her in the box of politicians that are out for their own party and their own like, and not out for everyone.
Do you think it changes anything about where Britain is in terms of Brexit and politics?
Oh no, I don't think it'll change anything.
Grey papers, very standard.
In other words, falling on her sword might not change the fortunes of her party or the country.
No matter how history judges Theresa May, one thing is certain: the problem that ultimately led to her undoing, Brexit, is still there, ready and waiting for her successor.
The contest to replace May will begin in June, first with Conservative MPs voting and then the party membership.
What her departure will do is enhance the likelihood that we might leave with no deal, because any candidate for leadership will have to appeal to the Conservative activist base, which is much more Brexit-leaning than the parliamentary parties.
The front-runner in a crowded field is none other than Boris Johnson, the former London mayor, known as much for what critics call his buffoonery as for his driving ambition. He said he'll take Britain out of the EU by October 31st, with or without an agreement on how. That prospect is already raising alarm bells.
I think we need a general election. We don't need another Tory leader installed by Tory MPs.
One of the only certainties in the days ahead is that May's dancing days are now numbered. Yet another British Conservative leader felled by divisions within her own party over Europe, divisions that have long since seeped into the country as a whole. Margaret Evans, CBC News, London.